Hi, ladies, and welcome to today's session. I am so excited to be joined by Stephanie and Melissa Carcache. Welcome to today's session, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Good to have you girls. So this month, the theme within the women in business community is all about events, collaborations, and sponsorship. And I know you ladies have a lot of experience in this area, and I really can't wait to hear your stories. But before we dive in, I would like to welcome our listeners today who are joining us live or those who are watching on replay. And if you are joining us live, make sure you use the chat box feature. Let us know where you're joining us from and what business you have as well. We'd love to find out what kind of business you have. So I connected with Melissa not too long ago. Well, Melissa and Stephanie, both of you girls, just over probably a month or 2 months ago. And we felt so aligned with our passion around events and empowering women. So both Melissa and Stephanie are sisters. They are born and raised in Miami, Florida. And they are the founders of Millennial Women Events and Podcasts. And as I know, you ladies are traveling around the US at the moment, recording your incredible podcast. So tell us a little bit more about what it is you do and what Millennial Women is, what the community is all about.
Yes, of course. So Millennial Women is a multimedia company, and we curate inspirational and resourceful content for the women of our generation. And our heartbeat is our traveling podcast, Millennial Women Talk, where we travel city by city to uncover the challenges millennial women are facing and learn how to overcome them together. And the way that we do this is through 3 separate episodes per city. We have our events, which is our thought leader, and that one's really cool because it's a very open floor setting. It's in front of a live audience in a meetup setting. So it's really, really fun. Girls get to network, but also get to ask questions and get to relate to each other. And then we have our contributors roundtable, which is 3 millennial women discussing about the challenges they're facing in their city and finding solutions together. And then our mentor episode, which is a woman who has come before us and really paving the way for us. And we're learning so much. So that is what Millennial Women is in a nutshell.
I love it. It's so empowering. And another concept is unique. It's very different. You travel with your podcast. You don't just sort of record in a studio. Tell me, how did this idea came about?
Ooh. So it's right. Mel says, "Ooh," because it's a definitely crazy story. And definitely when this concept came about, we were really struggling with what is it that we're going to do, right? We knew that we wanted to talk about topics that millennial women are facing because we were millennial women, and there were so many things we wanted to talk about and find solutions for. At the same time, we also wanted to get different perspectives, right? Because I think that that's the heartbeat of the podcast is sharing different perspectives. So we were thinking, like, how do we truly get with the name Millennial Women, right? How do we truly grasp the voice of a millennial woman and a non-biased one? Like, it's just, we have to get the voice. So my sister, I remember, it was Mel, she looked at me and we were in like our little office in Hialeah, Florida. And she was like, "We need to travel." And I was like, "Okay, I'll pack my bags." But like, how are we going to do this, And so that's kind of how the idea came about. And the intention was to truly go out there and meet our peers, meet the millennial women, and have them share their thoughts and voices on this podcast. Because that's the main thing about our events is that it's not just a Q&A interview in front of a live audience, but in our meetup events, you are also a part of the episode. So it's an open floor conversation about a specific topic, and it's open to everyone. So that's the unique and cool thing, but it's really because we want to truly get the voice of the millennial woman.
And I love that because I feel so passionate about events. And yes, we have a lot of things happening online, and the podcast also, we can tune in at any time. But it's different when you actually get to meet people in real life. You get to network with them. And I love that you have that passion of actually, let's take this outside of just, doing it online, and let's go and do it live. Let's let women to meet and discuss these important ideas. So how long you have been doing this so far?
Ooh, we're coming up on our first year. June 5th would be our first year.
Amazing. How many locations have you got to so far?
We've done our 4 locations in the US, and this year we do 6, 3 of them being international.
Amazing. Where are you traveling to?
So this year we kick it off in San Francisco, then we go to Atlanta, Georgia, Austin, Texas, then Barcelona, London, and Paris.
Ooh, you coming to London.
And we've never been, so we're so excited.
I can't wait. So I know you ladies are also based in different cities right now, and it's so exciting because, you know, we have an international community for female entrepreneurs. And, you know, we started with events here in the UK. And I know I can see Katie here from South Wales in the UK, Amber from Kent, UK, and Janita from Jacksonville, Florida. So where are you based right now?
I'm in Miami right now.
And I'm currently in Los Angeles.
Amazing.
California.
And you obviously sisters. How is it for you running a business as a family, as sisters? Do you find challenges, or do you find that it's actually better?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's been great. I mean, we've always wanted to do something together. But I'm an actress and my sister's a singer. We never saw how we could, do something together until we built Millennial Women. And our parents are entrepreneurs and they've worked together all of our lives. I mean, since we were kids. So we've always kept it in the family. And of course, like anything, there's challenges, but we're just having way too much fun to even call this a job or a career. I love working with my sister.
And I think we definitely have like a balance between there's times because, we're sisters and we're also best friends. So, it's very easy in work hours to go into girl chat. You know what I mean? And just talking about each other's lives and what's going on. But we're very good at okay, now we are business partners and we're working and getting very productive throughout the day. And then we're okay, so now it's after work hours. Let's chat. Because I think that's often what happens when you are business partners with your best friends, right? The level of productivity because of that strong relationship is kind of cut short throughout the day because you're talking a lot about personal things. And not saying the company culture can't be fun, right? It's definitely loose and happy and fun. But in the beginning, we were noticing hey, we're not being as productive, because we are having a lot of fun, but there's a lot of work to do. So we found that balance. And I would say that was one of the challenges that we had. But we were able to fix it quickly and just kind of switch that. Okay, it's work time, and we're getting that level of productivity.
But as you say, you are united around a cause, and you're both passionate about making this dream, this idea, reality. And I know a lot of the women within our community, they might be solo entrepreneurs, mom entrepreneurs, and they're working by themselves. So I guess there are challenges of working as a solo entrepreneur, but also as having a business and a family. But I love the energy you both bring, and you both have that amazing connection. And you're truly united around your own cause of empowering women, which is exciting.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot.
So where do you begin? It's a really big subject around events, collaborations, and sponsorship. Give me your take, what it really means to start a business that's related around events. And surely there have been challenges of how to create a business like that. Not just talking about idea of how you innovated this whole concept, but starting it out from the beginning. Where does one start?
Ooh, it's a tough question. I think to start at the very, very beginning, I think that just to give you context, we knew we wanted to, like Steph mentioned, we wanted to speak to the women of our generation, right? But we also knew that we didn't have the finances or even the right location to fly in interviewees and interview them. So we knew that we had to go to them And the first thing that we thought of when thinking about events is, well, we got to attend events and kind of see what this world is like. And we know that it's been becoming to be this very popular thing, but we have to understand, what is it? Can we really do this financially, mentally, emotionally? Is this something we can really actually do? And so we started to go to local events in Miami, and we fell in love with the entire process of it. We fell in love with what you can do with it, how powerful it is to actually get to connect with other people, not just network from a business side, but also friendships. Like, there's people that we met at events where we're still friends with today. We haven't done any business together, but we're friends. And we found something really special in that, which we knew would translate to our mission and vision of the company, which is really amplifying the voices of our generation. So that was the first step, was understanding the market and seeing if this is something we can actually do. Next step was, well, it's probably going to be better for us to physically go to these, places. We can bootstrap this thing, even if we have to invest a little bit of our miles into flights, before brands can start to say, oh, we understand your concept, right? Because and I have, and Steph has, we have a pretty great following on Instagram and a great reputation. However, this venture has nothing to do with what we've done in the past. So we have to sort of start again. And having that mindset of saying, we're starting something new, let's gain the trust of the audience and of the brands. And let's invest a little bit of our personal finances, as well as miles, whatever, put it on a credit card, anything, whatever it takes to make it happen. But we knew it was going to be more cost efficient versus bringing somebody to Miami, fly them in, pick them up, the whole nine. Even if it meant we were going to live off of Kind bars for 2 days. So just thinking about what can you bootstrap, and also how can you get the best quality of content. In the beginning, we did not have, and you mentioned the podcast recording, right? And that's like the star. That is the biggest challenge that we're about to face in this event, because you can throw an event, but now how do you record the audio for it to be great?
Yeah.
Holy moly. That was hard. We had Yeti mics that were connected to Steph's iMac through GarageBand, and that was like the first go around. The first couple of episodes, the audio was recorded off of one mic that was supposedly like you can record the whole room, but with that you get a lot of echo and bounce back and all that. So I trained myself on YouTube with Adobe Audition to try to see, how do I minimize the noise and all of that. So being self-sufficient at the beginning, and I'm sure you know this, you're doing every job. Google are your best friends, reaching out to people who do what you do on Instagram, on DM, and saying, hey, can you jump on a call for 15 minutes just to kind of see, you can learn from people who have done it before you. And as we as a company have continued to grow and learn, I get women all the time that ask me, how do you do your podcast? And I will literally copy and paste the links that I have for everything that we do. So if anybody in this webinar needs links, I'm more than happy to send it through DM or email, because I know how stressful and how hard it is. But I think it's that. I think it's just immersing yourself in information and Googling and YouTubing, and just realizing that this is going to be hard and you're going to be wearing a lot of hats. So be kind to yourself, have patience. You're not going to be perfect the first year. Trust us. Here are our first episodes. You will see the difference.
Totally. I would also love to add to that, in the process of getting started, something that I've learned in my life, and I think Mel can too, it's like, when you have this great idea, sometimes we spend so much time trying to convince people to support this idea, whether it be brands, whether it be financially, whether it be investors, etc. So, you spend so much time working on more pitching the idea rather than doing, right? And if it's something that is so key in the lesson that we learned, is that even if it's not perfect, you have to, that beginning, you have to start. So how to get started is just starting. And even though, again, it's not going to be perfect, like Mel said, it's really proving yourself through the work rather than proving yourself through an idea, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And just getting started, it's like when you jump, you actually realize, hey, I can fly. Whether it's little wings, or big wings, you will yourself figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think it's getting started.
Yeah.
Just getting started. And I think it's like with anything, you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know the challenges that you're going to face and whether it will be a success or not until you actually try. And when you try, you'll learn that lesson on the go. And you'll have no choice, of course, and things will not go right. And that's where the lessons lie most of the times.
Absolutely. The key is don't make the same mistake again, right? So it's like make the mistakes, just don't repeat them. But, you have to allow yourself to fail and to not have the perfect content, And I remember even seeing the first feedback on iTunes about the podcast about sound. And I was like, I know. Trust me, if I had the $1,000 mic, it wouldn't be this way. But, it's accepting that and moving forward, right? So we know that as the company grows, our quality should grow and team members should be added, things like that. But you go, as how you said, you have to start and then you figure it out on the go.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say were your biggest challenge outside of the sounds of, in terms of curating these events? What do you feel was one of the biggest challenges along the way?
Ooh. I think the first time that we put up like our splash page to sell tickets, it was like nobody's gonna come. Like I really felt like, we have this idea. We worked so hard on like securing the venue, like all these things and like who we're gonna speak to, the topic, and then all of a sudden it was like, how are we gonna get people to actually come now, right? And that was scary because we had just, like prior. How long did we have our Instagram? I think it was like a couple months. We had just started building a social community in Miami. So that was another challenge. It was like, how are we going to actually get people to come now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't have big budgets for like paid social or like huge advertisement, but Mel and I really took it amongst ourselves to truly work the community online, right? So we were DMing people personally, like everyone, and like really taking the time and having intention to who our following was,
right,
and to who we wanted, like our demographic, and truly like getting to know them genuinely. It wasn't like a copy and paste message. It was like, hey Karen or whoever, like we truly want you to come to our event. Like you're a millennial woman, you're doing amazing things. We want you to be a part of the conversation. And coming from a super genuine place. So Mel and I were literally on our DMs and on social, like hours on end, just truly engaging with our community. And I think that also translated, it's like going back to what you were saying, like with these online communities, it's fantastic, right? It's amazing. You genuinely have Instagram friends or online friends, and they're very real, these friendships and relationships. But when that translates into real life, it's like magic, right? It's amazing. And so with that intention, that's what we wanted to transfer. It was like that Instagram friendship, that Instagram like, or online, hey, how are you? My name is X, Y, and Z, and this is what we stand for. You're amazing. That connection. And I think that went a long way to actually making that happen in real life. So I remember being in the car, like we had a cap for the event. I think it was like 60, right, Mel?
Yeah.
And I remember like I had gotten my hair blow dried for the event, and I'm like going like home in my car, and I was looking at the tickets, and we were at 70 something. I was like,
oh, you had to stop. Like,
yeah. I was
stop selling. Yeah.
We were so happy. But I think that went a long way. Just that in the initial, it's just that personal connection that people want to feel. And I sometimes feel that companies, especially online, they try to go the very traditional, like professional, right? Vibe. And it goes more a long way with an online community being personable, like truly identifying each one of your follower, making it personal to them. And I think that that's what ultimately makes them want to come to our events, because they feel like I know them, like we're all friends.
Yeah, right. Sure. And really studying the person that you're reaching out to. You don't know how many DMs I've gotten where I can see it's a copy and paste that they've been sending it to me and other people. So it's like really take the time, and like she said, it is hours of work, right? Really take the time, see their profile, see what they're about, go to their website if they have it, if they have a YouTube channel, get to know them, see if they're even a right fit for your community, and then taking the time to write a personalized message to them. I will also add that Facebook ads and Instagram ads do work. Like she mentioned, we don't really have a big budget. We're putting in like $20, $10 here and there. But if you personalize it to where your locations are and get really specific, they actually do work. For our New York City event, I can't even tell you, the majority of the women that attended were because of our Instagram ad that they saw it. Yeah. So I think that that's also something, a lot of people, there's mixed messages about it. Some people are like, it doesn't work, but it's all about how you use it. The more specific that you are, the more effective it would be. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. You know, we've grown our community like that, where it started with an online community, and when we actually put up speakers from our community, women wanted to come and see them because they already built that relationship. They already seen them online, you know, delivering workshops or doing other things within the community. It's like, wow, I actually can now meet this person in real life. You know, it's so important to take your relationships from just being online to making it also in person. I totally believe that. And like I say, Melissa, that definitely Facebook ads work and has worked for our events as well. And, you know, we've started at no budget for no Facebook ads to actually investing a little bit in that. And it makes a huge difference when, you know, every little helps with, like I say, reach out to individuals. So if you're starting out with no budget, you can just do that if you go and invest it. Mm-hmm. So where do you start with building collaborations? Event side, okay, we've made some mistakes. We've created the events. How do you go about building collaborations? Because I'm sure you didn't get to where you are without other people coming on board to help you and support you. So where do you begin building collaborations in this line of business?
I think you always kind of have to make that list of like your dream, right, collaborations, and just most importantly, like a collaboration that makes sense for you as a company, but also a collaboration more importantly that makes sense for them, right? So it has to be a mutually beneficial collaboration. And I think Mel, you can really speak on this a bit better because Mel's the one that does most of the outreach. Why don't you go ahead, Mel, and explain kind of like, because I know that this is your jam.
I love collaborations, and for me, I find them to be really fun. But I do think that what Steph pointed out is 100% true, right? So it's finding out your dream collaborators. At the same time, it needs to work for both parties. Don't just pick brands or influencers or people or companies that have X amount of numbers and expect that, well, if they have X amount of numbers, they're going to give me the awareness that I need. Sometimes it's not even about the numbers. It's, you know, it's always about the engagement and if the audience's match with yours. That's really, really important. So the same way that we reach out to everybody, we do the same thing for brands and influencers and collaborators. It's taking the time to research, making sure do they align with us. The next step is to pitch to them. But when you pitch to them, you have to see where do you benefit them? And that's sort of like, it's hard in the beginning just because like you don't really get so much of a deep, obviously no one's going to be like, this is what I'm looking for, pitch to me. You know, you have to kind of assume, you know, this or that. So, you know, when we're thinking about, especially with brands, what are the new, if we're talking about a car company, what are the new cars that are coming out and how does that benefit our generation and how can we get our generation to buy their vehicle, right? So it's like saying, hey, so-and-so, you know, we see that you released this new car. We would love to create content around your brand and around this new car. Are you looking to raise awareness for millennials in your company? Are you looking to get the millennial women audience into your company? And then driving traffic that way, then pitching them concepts and things like that. You have to be creative. Think about what kind of content do you want to create for them. If it's an influencer, you know, what are they looking to gain? What type of exposure are they looking to get? And how can your audience be that for them? So always making it a two-way street at all times, never making it a one-way street ever. And really studying, taking the time, just the same way as you're GMing your own audience, taking the time to research. you know, a lot of people see, you know, our line of work, Raymonda, where it's a little bit on the glamour side because it's super fun and it seems on paper like amazing, but the work that goes into it is endless, and it will always be endless because, you know, when you're talking about driving events, collaborations, sponsorships, you have to do the work. You definitely have to do the work and do all the research. But, you know, reaching out, finding people on LinkedIn, I've been very successful. This doesn't go to say that every single person says yes or even answers me back. Okay. There will be silence. And that I do want to say to your community, don't be afraid if you don't hear back from the first 20 DMs, emails, LinkedIn messages that you send out. You know, somebody will turn around and say, I want to learn more. And when they want to learn more, you know,
also the follow-up game is very important. Sometimes we're like, and I say a follow-up game because it totally is. It's like, sometimes people, we just like, oh, I reached out. Okay, now let me sit. It's like, you know, sometimes you just have to continue following up, you know, and maybe on that, I mean, you don't want to go overboard either because then it just gives a bad taste. But definitely keep in mind, like, okay, I've sent X amount of emails and I haven't heard a response, so let me follow up. And it's just, you know, you have to be the one to move things forward because you're the one asking, right?
Right.
So I think it's definitely important to have a sick follow-up game as well. When you're
That's important. Yeah. But utilize social. I mean, that has been such a big asset for us, for me personally. You know, even Twitter's died down a little bit on my end, but Twitter was huge for me a couple years ago. That was how I was able to, you know, collaborate with a lot of people. But Instagram DM, LinkedIn is starting to be my go-to at the moment. So, yeah, definitely it's follow-up game. I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so true. Like sometimes, you know, we'll send out a message and then she'll ask me, did you reach out? I'm like, oh, let me follow up again. Or it's on our to-do list. Yeah. So many components, but nothing no one can handle. It's you can be successful at it.
I also see it through as well.
I would also like to add your pitch, right, is so important.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like we go like paragraphs into like what, you know, who we are, and like I think you have to be able to get your message concise enough so that you're able to ask for what it is that you want in a direct manner. Because nobody's going to sit here and read like on forever. So I think it's really being strategic with your outreaches. You know, what is it that you want? Be very clear. What is it that you want? What is it that they're going to gain? Mm-hmm. And who you are and some of those, and obviously those important elements. But being very concise in your pitch, I would say in collaborations is very important.
We get a lot of emails and messages around collaborations and sort of women asking us for things, but it's very often just about them because, you know, when you're reaching out for collaborations, I believe that it should be about the person that you're reaching out to and what it is in it for them. You know, why should they be really interested in working with you? So I think that's really important for you to understand as well what it is that you can offer to the person you want to collaborate with.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other nuggets of advice in this area for women starting out in events? You know, there's hundreds of things that I could ask you, but if there are some nuggets of advice or wisdom that you would like to share with somebody starting out in this area, I'd love to hear it from you.
Ooh.
I would definitely say, you know, making our passions into a living is obviously very important, you know. But I truly believe that if the intention going into things is genuine, I think ultimately it would work out. When we're hosting these events, I think the intention going into it is very important, as well as truly creating events that are experiences for women is so important. I think sometimes, you know, I've been to events in the past that it just feels very manufactured instead of organic. And I think it's very important for us, if we are in this line of work of doing women events, especially, it's truly to create a space for us, you know, in an organic and with good intentions. I think it's so important, and to truly focus on creating an experience rather than like an event per se. You know, we want to have, these spaces coming together for women is so important, especially right now. So anybody in this line of work, I would just say, like, have the right intentions going into it, because this is so needed right now. And the work that you're doing is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that you said. And then I would also add that, you know, obviously this is a business and obviously you have to make money, but never make it about how much money you would make. Oh, if X amount of women or X amount of people come to some, if you go ahead and say, what's the value that I will bring to my community, it will automatically become a business. And I would also like to add as well that think about the things that you want to know. Like, it should come authentic to you, right? So like when thinking about doing events and what type of topics you want to do, look within yourself first and say, if I wanted to go to an event, what would I like to hear? What would I like to kind of have conversations about? And then start from there. And as you build, use everyone around you. Use anybody, you know, in the Women in Business Club, your members, you know, in the membership program, ask around. DM people who you look up to, like try to get as much information as possible. And going back to Steph's first point, you must start. It doesn't matter. You're never going to have the right equipment. You're never going to have the money to do it. You're never going to have the connections. Like, it's just the list goes on and on. Just do it. Just go on YouTube, Google, and just start.
Absolutely. Or join webinars like this where you can hear it firsthand from women who've done it, which is exciting. Ladies, if you have any questions, those who are joining us live today, let us know. If there is something that you'd like to ask Melissa and Stephanie today, either business or events related, drop your questions now. And, you know, when it comes to venues as well, I know how important venues are. And I know within our community, we've been very blessed with some of the sponsorships that came through various venues when we started out. How do you go about looking and finding the right venues for your events?
That's a good question.
I'm laughing because when going back to our original story, like when we wanted to start doing events, we wanted to immerse ourselves into events. And I remember one of the events was at our first location, which is at a WeWork in Miami. And I remember when we went into this location, I just instantly felt like, oh my gosh, I felt so good. But I also saw like the longevity of the bigger dream, because WeWork, if you know, they have locations all over the world. So I was like, wow, like this is it, you know? And it was very important also for us because WeWork is a co-work. So if you don't know, WeWork is a co-working space, and they are incredible. They have offices all over the world. And I just felt like, wow, this feels good because it is like a proactive place, right? And they are kind of revolutionizing the way that we work, you know? So I instantly felt like this is a good place. And it had good energy because it had both, you know, men and women working in these facilities. And it just felt like a safe, good environment, and just their company culture and everything that they were doing. And we went to so many events in hotels and restaurants and everywhere. But for whatever reason, WeWork just like felt right. And I think it's because we stepped out there and immersed ourselves into going to these venues. You know, because everything looks great on Instagram. Like everyone knows how to get the shot. But, you know, it's going out to these places, these venues, and seeing how do I feel? Going back to Mel, it's like, you know, you can only serve your community if you come from that place of yourself, of like, would I like this? Would I feel comfortable here? Etc. So that was kind of like the initial for us, was actually going to these venues and seeing how we felt in these venues, and if it was going to be a place that our potential community, our community was gonna feel good in. And then just seeing also the longevity of the venue, because they had locations everywhere. So we kind of forced that partnership, I always say, because I remember feeling like that first day I stepped into a WeWork, like seeing the dream right in my head. I was like, we're gonna travel and go to every one of their locations in the world. And millennial women are going to come. And so, like, you know, but we also knew we couldn't just go to WeWork headquarters and be like, hey, this is our idea, right? Because going back to ideas versus the actual work, the work goes a long way. So we kind of forced that partnership in the beginning. So we were really, you know, calling the locations in Nashville, New York, LA. and attending the WeWork locations there, and we made it happen. But the interesting thing is now in our second year, talking about progress, they actually came to us. And so now we're solidifying the big dream, which was to have an official partnership with them. And so we're so excited that in our second year, it's official, So even the venues can be great collaborators and even partnerships.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's been so much work and patience that have gone into it. And you say, it's only starting to happen in year 2. So the fact that perhaps it didn't happen right away, you didn't get the call back, you didn't get the conversation with them. It just shows you have to be patient with these things.
Absolutely.
You have to be in it for a long haul, not just sort of just one event and then, it didn't work out and let's just find something else. You really have to have that patience and dedication to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have some questions? I think I see some.
Let's have a look. We have Janita. Did I say it right? How do you say it?
Oh,
Juanita? If you have a very small following, what would you suggest as a way to get ideas about what to cover at your events? Having a small following is what is holding me back from taking the steps I'm afraid no one will show up. And that's a real worry. And, how would you go about that?
I think Steph's good at this.
Yeah. So in the beginning, we are Millennial Women, our Instagram page and our online community, even on Facebook. At our first event, we only had a couple hundred followers. We really did. And that was just because Mel and I we didn't want to bring, because Mel, she's an actress and she had a very large following, but she was on a TV show that wasn't the right demographic, right? And my following on my music stuff wasn't necessarily millennial women, So we didn't want to use our own platforms to promote and bring the wrong demographic.
Right.
So we didn't exercise promoting so much on our regular pages, which did have the numbers at that point. We wanted our community to grow organically, right? So I think we just shouted it out. We sent to like a bunch of our friends, like, hey, we're opening up this Instagram, like follow us, and just trying to spread the word organically.
Right.
But that only brought us to a couple hundred followers in the beginning, and we were going into our first event. But I will tell you this, our work in truly targeting our demographic personally, on the online space was what truly translated that organic growth. Because word does start spreading, like, hey, I heard about this event, come with me.
Yeah.
Even, let's be honest, even offering discount codes. I remember, it's like, bring your friend for 15%, like doing that, giving, right? Because sometimes we're so focusing on receiving. I need to get the attendees. I need to get the money. I need to get this. But we forget the key part. It's like you have to give so much before you ask, right? So we were giving a lot based off obviously our content, etc. But we were also giving in our messaging. We were giving out discount codes. We were saying bring a friend, and doing that personal outreach. But I don't think following has anything to do with your success in events per se. I think that if you are very strategic in who you're targeting, like in that location for the event, your numbers won't necessarily matter in this case.
Right. And I think you mentioned about topics, ideas of what to cover. I said it a little earlier about looking within yourself, right? So always think about, if I go to this event, this event that hasn't existed yet, what would I like to talk about? What would I like to see? What would I like to hear? What would I like to experience? It should come from you first. And then try to reach out to every single person you know and say, hey, this is what I would like to hear, but what would you like to hear? And then sort of from there come up with a topic or an event or see what kind of event you want to create. But
yeah. And reaching out, it's like you said, Mel, reaching out to everyone you know.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it was that. It was definitely coming from within, but also like there's so many times we just ask literally from our community, like, who am I gonna? Okay, I'm gonna DM them. Like, what do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah,
you know,
because in the beginning we did the Google forms and no one filled them out, right? It was just like, what topics do you want to hear? And there was like crickets. So like literally, if with the couple hundred that we have, like what you mentioned, Steph is going in there and personally going out of your way to ask them on a one-on-one versus doing just like an Instagram story of enter here the topic, right? We definitely got a lot of crickets.
Sometimes people just don't know what they want to hear until actually you put it together, you create it, you sort of curate it and put it in front of them. They're like, oh, yeah, I actually didn't know. I wanted to hear that. Right. And I love what Stephanie said as well about it organically spreads. Events are like that in nature, with what I have experienced as well, that you just don't even know where the numbers are coming from. People booking tickets, like, how did that happen? I don't know these people. And you know what? It starts to organically spread. And that's just the nature of it. And that's the exciting thing, that's how events are. You know, people want to have that experience.
Absolutely.
So, Queen says, thank you so much, ladies. This was so informative. I have 209 followers at the moment, 209 followers, and this inspires me. I'm so pleased.
I would also say those 209 followers, go on a Saturday, block it out, and message every one of those 209 followers, thank them for following you, and ask them any questions that you want and engage with them. That's your task, right? On Saturday, I'm blocking it out, and I'm just going to focus on my community and giving them just even some acknowledgement.
Yeah.
In such a cool way.
Nurture that, conversation, two-way conversation, because that's your first 209 followers. You can really nurture that relationship, and they'll stick with you. I'm really excited about what future holds for millennial women, and what you have ahead of you. Would you tell us what are your dreams? What does the future look like for your community right now?
Go ahead, Steph. I'll let you take this one.
No, I definitely think the dream is to truly capture the voice of the millennial woman. It's to travel and truly meet women our same age on the other side of the world in different cities and just exchange perspectives. I think we're so passionate about the self and personal development that comes within us just through conversation with somebody that's completely on the surface wise different, but fundamentally so much alike, right? And so through conversations and, capturing on the podcast, that's the dream, is to truly capture the voice of the millennial woman and have our listeners, engage and learn and understand, and then in return grow spiritually and personally to the ultimate version of yourself. So it's very educational as well, this dream for our community, but that is one of our strong passions. Mel?
Yeah, no, everything that you just said is exactly, our long-term dream, and really to expand the womanhood, eventually, grow the platform, maybe make it more engaging or more, I guess, I don't know if it's to say to do an app one day, but make it more community-like, where the women can actually start to connect with each other on a separate platform that's not social. But that's more of the long-term, the long-term dream. And we hope that we continue to expand to more cities every year. Last year was 4, this year is 6. So maybe next year might be 10. I don't know. I don't know how many, but I wanted to add that we don't repeat the cities. So if anyone that's watching is in any of the upcoming cities that we go to, we probably will not be back. So we hope that you join us in this year's tour when we kick it off May 30th of this year.
Amazing. And it's so exciting because, you got that one chance to catch you as, it is live, and just be there for that experience and see how it's done in real life. It's not something that's generally done. Podcasts are usually in one black, quiet room, or in someone's sheds. But you ladies taking it all into public and sharing that experience, which is so exciting.
Yes, yeah, it's fun. It was definitely a challenge in the beginning, but I think that it's funny. We have kind of found our life's purpose with this company. As we mentioned in the beginning, you know, we're artists in entertainment, and we never in a million years thought we'd be doing what we're doing today, but this has really truly become our life's purpose, and we're very blessed and grateful that it's come at a time where we on a personal level feel like it's needed for us, and now we can see it's needed for others. And so we're just happy to facilitate these opportunities for women, and we're excited to continue to grow our womanhood and our friendships around the world. So we're just having a blast. It's great.
I love that. So if ladies wanted to follow up with you, where can they get in touch with you?
Yes, so they can definitely visit wearemillennialwomen.com, which is our Millennial Women site. Everything is housed there. And at Stephanie Carcache is my Instagram handle if you want to connect. And also my email's there. Feel free to email me whatever you need, even if it's the podcast links. Like I said, it's a copy and paste. So we're very, very open. So whatever you ladies and gentlemen need, I'm not sure there's any gentlemen in here, but anyone that needs anything, we're very open to helping anybody.
Yeah. My social handles is at Stephanie Carcache, as well as Mel. I'm very, very on my DMs. So any questions you may have, please feel free to reach out, as well as my email. And follow us on social at We Are Millennial Women. And just to keep up to date with everything that we are doing and the cities and the tour announcement, as well as where you can get your tickets at wearemillennialwomen.com, like Mel said. Mm-hmm. And please, we can't wait to connect more with you.
Definitely. Well, I can't wait to attend one of your events, whether it will be in London or another city. I am so excited about, joining you for one of these lovely events. And we had a podcast interview with me recently, so that's coming up soon as well.
Yes, we can't wait. It was such a great episode, Raymond, and thank you for all the knowledge that you shared with us, because we personally learned a lot, and we know that our audience will too. And thank you for always inviting us and being so supportive of us. We really appreciate it, and we are honored to be here with you today. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to collaborate with women who are doing incredible work, feel so passionate about what you ladies are doing. We're really so aligned with our values and empowering other women, giving them the voice to share their messages and being the platform to showcase the voice of other women, which is so, so important. There aren't too many platforms that allows for this to happen. And I think, if we share the same passion and values, we need to work together to make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So ladies, unless you have any more questions, we'll be wrapping up today's session. And if you do want to find out a little bit more about the Women in Business community, we just transitioned to a new domain, which is womeninbusiness.club. And it is a women club for female entrepreneurs who are looking for support and guidance around business, how to grow your business, how to be more visible, how to go host events. And later on this month, we have 2 more workshops coming up just like this with some incredible experts on how to build more sponsorship and more collaborations around events. So if you're looking to join other event workshops just like this, make sure you follow us right here on Crowdcast. So ladies, thank you so much for showing up today and sharing your incredible expertise and your stories as well, which is so, so interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Ramonda. This means the world. Thank you for having us.
Well, I look forward to seeing you at your next event or our event, wherever that may be. And if you are watching this live or replay, make sure you do connect with both Steph and Melanie. They are amazing, and follow their journeys through We Are Millennial Women as well. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And ladies, thanks for joining us live on today's session. And we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.